Dajahao, my name is Garrick, and welcome back to Taiwan Lao Wai. And can I just say, I have had a fun time of it tonight. I'll spare you the grisly details. Short version, they're doing so much construction on my street that there is no longer my usual bus stop. The bus stop I usually take is gone, and I did not realize that until it was time for me to go out and hop on a bus to bring me into Taipei for my plans that I was gonna do tonight. So I had to scramble like mad to find a different bus stop and grab a different bus to take me up to the train station to get me into Taipei, and at that point I was so late I had to grab a taxi the rest of the way, or I would have missed my reservation. And on top of all that, it is starting to drizzle right now. It has been a time, but it's alright. We have avoided a crisis, we have reached where we were going, and it is time at last to continue our Mission Michelin. If you're new to this channel, I am on a journey to eat at every Michelin recommended restaurant in Taipei. And tonight, once again, I climb my way back up to the rank of the 1 Michelin star restaurants. So if you peep the sign behind me, we are right outside Danny's Steakhouse, which is a restaurant way up north in Taipei, north of the Jilong River. We are like at the very top edge of Zhongzhen district. I do not go out to steakhouses too often, so I'm very excited for this. From what I've read on Michelin's website, the head chef has been working with meat for over 40 years, and I believe his protege is currently managing the restaurant that bears his name. And from what I saw, not only does it look delicious, the prices look very affordable. We have mercifully made very good time. Our reservation is at 6 o'clock. It is 10 minutes before right now. As usual, I probably will not be able to comment and talk within the restaurant itself, but you will see all my tasty shots after the fact, I'm sure. With that said, I'm gonna head inside. I'm gonna see if they can get me seated nice and early, and we are going to have ourselves a delicious dinner. See ya then.
1 hour later.
Holy crap. So I'm sure you will be shocked to find out that was utterly delicious. I'm sure you will also be shocked to find out I am too stuffed full and punch drunk to really catalog my thoughts in any significant way at the moment. Or maybe just regular drunk. I did have 2 cocktails, which is 1 more than usual when I go out to a fancy restaurant. So we're gonna get our ass home, we're gonna sleep on this engorged belly of mine, and I'm gonna wake up with some fresh thoughts when I'm not so wiped out. One thing I will say as I plop my way down to the train station, that was a remarkably swift and efficient meal, for typical Michelin star standards. I'm used to these dinners going for like 2 hours, 2.5, maybe, God help me, 3 hours. But this one, I was in and out in a nice tight 90 minutes. So still an indulgence, but maybe not quite so much of a spend your entire evening on this one meal sort of deal. Which is good, because that means I have time to get home and watch more Arcane, because the new season of Arcane is currently releasing, and I do not want to get spoiled before I'm caught up. I'm sure that dates this video horribly, but whatever. If you haven't watched Arcane yet, please watch Arcane, it's so good. Last but not least, just in case I lose my receipt, the total cost of the meal was 5,335 NTD, and it was, mercifully, all worth it. That is all for right now. I will see you in the morning when I'm a bit more in control of my faculties. Take care.
Several days later.
And smash cut to a month later. How's it going, everybody? Yeah, so I guess I got a little lazy about recording the end of that particular video. And in case you can't tell by the general vibe of things right now, winter has finally come to Taiwan. We're actually on our way up to a holiday market up at the Taiyuan Arts Center, and that's way up north in the main city. It's further north than I think I've ever really showed you before, at least if you don't count the fish market we went to that one time. It's gonna be a pretty gloomy, miserable day overall, but that doesn't mean we can't have some holiday cheer, can it? I don't think those are the right words for that scenario. Whatever. Anyways, we're gonna mosey our way down to the art center, and as we do, why don't I tell you a bit about Danny's Steakhouse? Now, I know it's pretty common for me to gush over every Michelin restaurant I visit, but I cannot stress enough. Oh my god, I loved this place. For one thing, the restaurant itself was gorgeous. The lighting was very atmospheric. They had this incredible, giant stained glass chandelier hanging on the ceiling. And I was sat right at the bar, so I could see all the drink mixing action happening in real time. That probably explains why I ended up getting 2 cocktails by the end of the night. I got myself a Manhattan and a Cosmopolitan. And I'm not gonna lie, I was feeling a little woozy when all was said and done. I swear, it's getting easier and easier for alcohol to knock me on my butt as I get older. Not fond of that. Anyways, what really sets Danny's Steakhouse apart from most of the other Michelin star restaurants I visited is the menu. Most of the time with Michelin restaurants, you get a chef's tasting menu, and it's 9 or 10 courses of, whatever the chef has come up with in that particular season, and it's, totally in their hands. It's a parade of delicious small bites, is my point. But that's not how it works at Danny's. They have an actual menu. You essentially get your choice from 5 different courses: appetizer, soup, main protein, a side dish to go with it, and a dessert. You have a few different selections for each course, and the cost of your meal is determined by which protein you get. And the cost of those proteins range anywhere from like $2,000 to $4,000, so that really is what determines how much you spend on the meal. Though of course that's not counting, any drinks you have, the sales tax at the end, any additional add-ons you want to make, etc., etc. Also, you'll have to excuse me, I just grabbed some dumplings because I'm actually getting hungry right now. Turns out talking about delicious food really makes you work up an appetite. Who would have thought? Anyways, I think it's time to talk about the meal itself. And try to hold your surprise when I tell you this, but it was freaking amazing. Things started immediately off on the best foot possible with a nice loaf of crusty bread. I've said it before, I'll say it a million times more, you can really judge a restaurant by the quality of their bread, and Danny's Steakhouse is way up there in that regard. Fresh, steaming, piping hot, a little nutty, a little sweet, a little salty, so warm that even on a day like today it would make me feel nice and warm inside. Now the one interesting thing is that instead of serving it alongside salted butter, they served it alongside salt and butter. Butter and salt separately on the dish. If I'm honest, I'm not sure there was too much of a point to that. Mostly just, I could barely tell the difference. That's not really a negative, that's just a neutral. I could have done this either way and it wouldn't make a difference. Luckily, that no difference still ranks out extremely high on the bread tier list. And yes, they do let you get seconds. Good for them. Now, when I was looking at the menu, I thought some of the appetizers looked so delicious that I could not really decide between just one. So I asked if I could order 2 appetizers for a little extra cost, and yes, they let me. The first of those appetizers was some seared ahi tuna, which I've seen in a lot of fancy food shows and restaurants, but I've never really had before. I can definitely understand what all the fuss is about, though. That tuna was darn good. It was just lightly seared on the outside, so the inside was still nice and cold and pleasantly fishy. It had this very lovely sesame crust on the outside. It was very nutty. Had a few marinated cucumber slices on the bottom, a little drops of, I think it was, yuzu vinaigrette here and there. Just a perfect, light, refreshing bite to start off the meal. And the second appetizer was even better. I got myself a crab cake. My parents used to make crab cakes a lot when my brother and I were kids, but I have not had one since coming to Taiwan, and I did not realize how much I missed them. Especially when they're this good. You could tell they used real crab meat. It was bound together with just the right amount of, I guess, mayonnaise. It was sweet, it was salty, it was unctuous. Even small bites packed a ton of flavor. And it had a bunch of lovely aioli on the side for if I wanted to sweep my little bites around in some tasty sauce. Also, the bus showed up. So we are at the Arts Plaza now. How about that? Not to worry though, my mealtime story continues unabated. Wow, that's a loud motorcycle. My god. Alright, so after the appetizers were polished off, it was time for the soup course. And if there was one big surprise that really blew me away tonight, this was it. The smoked tomato soup I got was one of the most mouth-watering, drool-inducing things I have ever put in my mouth. The way the smokiness brought out the tomatoes flavor and just sort of rocketed it up to the stratosphere. Literally, the second it hit my lips, every single taste bud started salivating at the same time. It was so tangy, it was so vinegary, it was so sort of knock your socks off with every single sip. I'm not even joking, the flavor was so intense that I had to like take a 20-second break between every spoonful. That's how much punch was packed into this little bowl. Normally I'd complain about getting such a small portion of soup, but when there's that much flavor in it and it's that intense, I think it was actually the perfect amount. So apparently smoked tomatoes are where it's at. Good to know. Also, just taking a quick shot. We are at the south end of the Arts Plaza right now. This is a big, long walkway leading up to the building proper. The bus I took could have gotten us closer, but I wanted to give you the scenic route. Anyways, back to dinner, and yes, I've put my hood up because it is getting quite chilly now. Once I recovered from the explosion of flavor that was that soup, it was time at last for the main event. The steak of Danny's Steakhouse. And because I'm me, I went for the most ridiculous option I possibly could have. The Japanese A5 Wagyu Filet Mignon. Because if you stack that many superlative adjectives next to each other, how could I not? I have had a lot of great steaks in my day, but it probably will not surprise you to learn that this easily blows them all away. The level of unctuousness and marbling and tenderness in that meat, soaked through with umami, so tender it almost melts in your mouth, yet so substantial that even such a small piece really fills you up and leaves you satisfied. And of course it comes with all the accompaniments. A few fried flower leaves, which was interesting, some very spicy wasabi, stone ground mustard, salt, jus. The way Taiwan steak culture works, you get a lot of those sides alongside the steak, and you sort of mix and match with every bite. You cut a piece of steak off, you dip it in the mustard, the next bite you dip in the jus, the next maybe you rub in the salt a little bit. It's a choose-your-own-adventure steak wonderland. Also, we're getting pretty close to the art center right now, and I'm pretty sure you can see the main market up ahead. Ooh, we're gonna have ourselves a good lunch today. Now, like I mentioned, the steak is served with your side of choice. I went with the loaded baked potato with sour cream and cheese and bacon. And this is probably the one thing of the night that I was just sort of, okay, it's fine. I mean, it was a good baked potato, don't get me wrong, but it was also just a baked potato, which I guess it's fine. It's there to accompany and highlight the real star of the show, not steal all the attention for itself. Not my favorite thing I ate, but I don't regret eating it at all. And now we are actually right up against the holiday market, so I'm gonna go get myself some lunch and I will tell you about dessert once we are done here. Okay, we got our first nosh of the day, and it's a very interesting one. It's little fried chicken nuggets with roselle jam. In case you don't know, roselles are a member of the hibiscus flower family, and apparently they are very good cooked into jams and stuff. I actually found some at the market recently and made a little syrup, and it turned out shockingly well. Probably should have made a market meals out of that. Maybe next time. For now, though, it's chow time. That works shockingly well. Like, you'd think those kind of sweet, fruity flavors would not go well with fried chicken, but they really sort of bring out the best in each other, because you can get the hot, savory chicken that warms your mouth, plus a touch of cool, bright sweetness to accentuate it. The contrast is Honestly, kind of brilliant. Hey, America, get on this. Chicken nuggets and some sort of fruity, flowery berry jam. There's an untapped market here. This little cup was 60 NTD, by the way, so I think this market trip is not going to be nearly as bank-breaking as the last holiday market I went to. Thank goodness for that. Alright, a lot of fun stuff in there. A lot of chicken, a lot of skewers, a lot of odds and ends, different bits and bobs. But believe it or not, I see even more tents along the way. So we're gonna check those out too. So it looks like that first big plaza was the food section, and this smaller area is the arts and crafts section. So, you know, a lot of personal made handbags and tchotchkes and books and that sort of thing. So that's good to know for next year. If I ever need to buy a Christmas present for somebody and I run out of time, this will be a good place to go and find something a little special. Be honest with me, is my hair getting straight? I feel like my hair just suddenly started losing its curl in December, and I'm not sure what to think of it. Anyways, we got one more section to check out here. It's a little under an awning, so we'll see if there's anything interesting there, and then I will finish my Michelin story for you. Okay? Deal. Okay, I was feeling a little chilly, so I took a brief stop at the bookstore to warm up. Fun fact, the art center is right next to the Taiyuan Public Library, so it's like a whole consortium of fun, artsy, low-key things to do here. I've been to the library once. I should really go back. It was a really relaxing experience, even if I couldn't understand any of the books. Actually, come to think of it, this cafe here looks like a really nice spot for lunch. Well, in for a penny, in for a pound. I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am. You're getting 2 videos for the price of one, sort of interweaving in and around each other. So, while I wait for my lunch to arrive, why don't I tell you about dessert? For dessert, I went with the chocolate lava cake because I'm only human and there's only so much temptation I can take. And this was the densest, richest, ooeyest, gooeyest, mouth-smackingest lava cake I have ever had. It would have honestly been too much were it not for the vanilla ice cream it came with to help sort of counterbalance all that intensity, but it was so good, and it left me so stuffed. I felt like a lolloping gravy balloon. And as if that wasn't enough, they sent me off with a trio of bonbons as well. There was a little brown sugar cookie, a lemony marshmallow, and some sort of miniature Christmas cake, which was very nice. Suffice to say, I left stuffed, I left very satisfied. What a night that was. So you can probably tell by the fact it took me so long to get around to giving you the rundown on it. It just sort of knocked me on my butt a little bit. Now, the exact price point I forget, but I'm sure I said it earlier in this video, so it was this much money, which is this much in US dollars. And keep in mind, that's with 2 cocktails and an extra appetizer on the bill, so that is shockingly cheap, all things considered. I mean, I had a piece of A5 Wagyu filet mignon complete with a whole meal, and it didn't even cost me 200 US dollars. That is absolutely nuts to me. Also, pardon me 1 second, my lemonade has arrived. This is some sort of special lemonade. Couldn't tell what it was from the menu, but it does look tasty. Realistically, I probably should have gone for hot chocolate, but 'Tis the season to be a little nuts. Ah. Oh, that's grapefruit lemonade. My mom sadly can't eat grapefruit anymore because of health problems, so this one's for you, Mom. Alright, tell you what, I'm going to enjoy my lunch, and then once it's over and I'm back out in the cold, I will finish my rundown of Danny's Steakhouse. If you just want to hear about my Michelin experience and don't care about my lunch, skip to this time code right here, and that'll take you right to it. But to the rest of you joining me for lunch today, cheers. Okay, my goodness. I wasn't entirely sure what this was when I ordered it on the menu, but it appears to be some kind of fried calamari salad pizza. I have never used that precise combination of words in my life, but here we are, I suppose. We're gonna clear a little space here and just try this fried calamari on its own. I can vibe with that. It's a little chewy, but it's nice and hot. It's got this lovely tangy sauce to go with it. Pro tip for all you fried calamari makers out there, give it some sort of dynamite, zingy, tangy sauce, and you will make my day. I do question the point of serving this on a pizza, because this isn't really a pizza, it's a flatbread with stuff piled on top of it. I don't know, if it had just been the calamari and the lettuce on its own, that might have made sense. Not sure what the point of this is, though. I don't dislike it, as long as it's tasty, you know? Oh. There is cheese on it. I didn't notice. Alright, so this is not the most optimal way to eat any of these components, clearly, but they are all tasty, so it's forgiven. Alright, super quick, I also got these guys, which I think are some sort of either stuffed mushroom or fried fish ball. I'm not entirely sure which. Clearly, there's only one way to find out, so bone ape the teeth, as they say. Whoa, that's extremely hot. Okay, interesting. So I think this is some sort of broccoli fish ball, looking at the insides. Yeah, it's like minced fish with broccoli, and then there's a little piece of squid or octopus in there as well. I guess it's sort of a mix between arancini and takoyaki. A fascinating duality there. Overall, I would rate this meal confusing, but very tasty. This is not how I would think to put any of these components together myself, but I am enjoying myself. In case you missed it, this place is called Wired Tokyo, and it's inside the Tsutaya bookstore at the Arts Center, so if you want to give it a shot for yourself, come on over. I do recommend it, all things considered. And of course, we can't let the day slip away without a little dessert, can we? My god, this thing looks absolutely deranged. Are these bananas on the rim? They are. I truly had no idea what I was getting into today. Cheers. My god. Okay, let me see if I've got this right. It's vanilla ice cream, bananas on the rim, some Rice Krispie treats on the inside, chocolate sauce and bonbons on top. This thing is nuts. Happy holidays, everyone. Or happy whenever this video comes out, I guess. Valentine's Day? Happy Valentine's Day. Let's go with that. Wait, it gets better. There's coffee jelly at the bottom. Jesus Christ. Holy heck, that lasted longer than I thought. So I thought this was going to be like a quick late lunch, sort of ended up being an early dinner instead. And a pretty pricey one at that. My total was like 1,200 NTD for all that, so I am definitely gonna have to take it easy on the old paycheck for a bit. But hey, thank you for joining me on this ridiculous day regardless. In case you can't tell, it's starting to get dark out here. It always gets dark earlier than I expect in Taiwan. It's where the sun comes up at 6 and it goes down at 5. Nothing makes sense here. Anyways, welcome back to those of you who just want to hear me talk about the Michelin restaurant and don't care about the other stuff. This is where that starts again. In summary, Danny's Steakhouse was absolutely absolutely magical, and it's even a place I could see myself going back to sometime. I think with a lot of Michelin restaurants, they're very once-in-a-lifetime sort of deals. You go once for the experience and then never again. But with Danny's Steakhouse, I could absolutely see myself going back there someday. Definitely not every day, for very special occasions, but it was satisfying, it was delicious, it did not leave me feeling overwhelmed except in the stomach department. It's a place that is worth returning to, and I think I will return to it someday to check out some of the other choices on their menu. If you want to visit yourself, they are open for lunch and dinner. I believe the lunch options are more a la carte, while the dinner menu is the set menu that you choose from. So pick whichever works best for you, and I very much hope you enjoy your time there. With that said, my phone is running dangerously low on power, so I'm gonna close this video here, and I will see you for whatever nonsense we get up to next. Thank you once again for joining me at Taiwan Lao Wai. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, smash the bell, share with your friends, all that good stuff. I hope this video wasn't too chaotic for you to follow. If it was, I apologize. And as always, I will see you next time. 再见. Bye-bye. I look kind of sinister with this hood, don't I? Okay, goodbye.